A lot of the clients we have at Green Studio are realtors. And when I say a lot, I mean like a lot of the clients we have are realtors. Why that is, I have no idea, but they need a lot of creative work and design work done constantly. Out of all of the different kinds of clients, companies and business people, they need our service constantly. And seeing as I've just onboarded a brand new realtor, a very bougie realtor, mind you, I figured it would be perfectly great for me to document the entire process of taking this realtor from literally no content, no design, to starting the whole design game, having branding done, everything. So that's kind of how this is going to go. With this realtor, we've already gone over a lot of where they live, their ideal customer and client, and their competitors. I have already educated myself on their ideal customer, their competition, the things they have to compete with, what the market is like in their new place that they live in, what I should avoid and what I should go for in terms of messaging and branding. So starting out, what I like to do with my clients and what this whole video is about is mood boards. Now, mood boards are a great and easy way for a client to familiarize themselves with what their possible brand and or content can look like without having to do all the work beforehand. It's basically just finding a bunch of content and design work already done, include it in a single image or document, and then having them see it in front of them and be like, oh, if this is what I'm expecting, this is what it'll look like. I like to make as many mood boards as possible. For this specific client, I'm going to make 5 very key and drastically different mood boards. So it's going to be very fun. The sites I really like to use when making a mood board are Pinterest, Behance, Tumblr, and Dribbble. These sites have usually the most design content on them. For our first mood board, we're really going to be focusing on this refined and classy part of the brand that we talked about. So let's do it. A few key elements that I'm really looking for are photography, fonts, color usage, and then brand collateral, which is just a fancy word for like graphical elements like these kind of designs here and these kind of colors. These are the key elements that I'm really looking for, and I really want to educate my client on so that they know what to look for, so they can be educated whether they like it or they dislike it and it doesn't fit their brand and their personality. One of the basic things I think is super helpful for doing a design board is if you see a design that you find is absolutely critical to the thing that you want to create, the kind of design you want to do, but it's not exactly in the right color or whatever, you can change that. Like it all depends on how much time you're willing to spend on a mood board, and I want to make sure that my mood boards are as pristine and as precise as possible. So like one thing I'm noticing about of the things I collected is the fonts are kind of all over the place, so I'm probably going to be cutting a lot of the fonts here so that it's all very concise. And you got to change things to make it not super personal. Like it doesn't have to actually be the brand of the person you're trying to create, but you still want it to actually fit the context and fit your client. I think a very difficult thing when it comes to doing mood boards is it's really easy for you as a designer to be like, oh, I like this or I like that, or see things that you're like, oh wow, that looks really good, but even though it looks good and it may fit some parts of the mood board you're putting together, doesn't actually it won't be effective and doesn't cover all of the parts you need to like cover in a mood board. It's hard to say no to things. Like this is a design that I'm like, oh wow, that looks amazing, but it doesn't really fit some very certain criteria and it wouldn't be a good use of space in my limited mood board. So despite how much I like it, I have to say no to it, but I will use its context to search for other things. So with this mood board that I'm currently on, a few things I'm noticing is I'm honing in the colors really well. A few things I am missing though is brand collateral. So I have a few things like these little flourishes, these little like artistic kind of like leaf shapes and illustrations. So I'm going to try to look for more of those, but another big one that I'm definitely missing is photography. So I think I'm going to make a really big photo piece. I mean, I have two, which is all right, but I think I'm going to do a really big, this hero shot right here, I think I'm going to do as a big photo of the kind of style I'm looking for. So one thing I'm noticing with this hero image, which I really, really like, is it fits the color theme of my mood board pretty good so far, except for this kind of interesting dark teal color that I'm going for. And one thing that I really love to do is add like artificial kind of like foreground blurry kind of lens flare looking things. I'll try to find some pre-made ones, but I'm gonna try to create my own using just shapes and colors and see how it works. And this is a great way to add colors that you may be missing in photography. One thing I like to do for all of my mood boards is name them, and I think putting the name in the center of this mid photography image is going to be a really good idea. So I'm going to have to spend some time thinking about a name, or I'm probably just going to ask AI, to be honest, because I am just at a loss for coming up with names. So I'm really trying to match the font of kind of the rest of the mood board in the title font, but I can't seem to find a sans serif font I have that has heavy weights in kind of a diagonal form, and then has a very very thin weighted areas, sort of on these long sections. So I might have to go to either AI to get that, make it myself, or just go to Adobe and see if it's already created, because I don't want to have to do that. You would really think that as a font hoarder you would have a font for literally everything, but somehow this kind of font, which seems so obvious to have, I don't seem to have, which is ridiculous. I have a lot of fonts that are weighted correctly, but they're serif fonts, so it doesn't exactly help me. Now I just need to find some more brand collateral. I think photography side we're doing pretty good so far. I think I'm going to replace this bottom image. I don't like this at all. Doesn't fit anymore. So I'm going to replace this and then bring in brand collateral. Sometimes when you're finding stuff, you really have to go down a rabbit trail. Like, you find something that kind of fits it, and then you just have to keep going down until you actually get what you want. And man, it can be a real rabbit trail sometimes. Alright, I think there's a lot more I could definitely do, but I think having something that's fairly decent like this mood board at its current state is pretty alright. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on and start doing the other ones. But first, man, the first thing I got to do is start cleaning up these tabs. So I'm going to clean that up, export this, and then start on the next one. So one down, 4 to go. Okay, here's another one. I think it came out all right. I saw this image when I was making the other one, and I just couldn't resist. I have never seen anything in the area of my realtor or in the realtor business ever that goes with this kind of branding. So if she goes with this mood board and this style, then she will definitely stand out in the market, that's for sure. So it's definitely going to be a good option, and it definitely fits the refined and tasteful and professional look she was going for, but it definitely has a bit of oddness to it, so I'm interested to get her opinion on it. But that's number 2 out of 5, so now we have 3 more to go. Let's do it. Okay, so I think I'm pretty much done with this other one. Obviously, this one is the most, I would say, out there out of all of the things I've done so far. And the reason for this is, upon talking with my client, they wanted something very like just out there in red. So I was like, okay, I mean, so this is kind of like a special request, I guess you could say. I'll probably go back and change some of these when I'm done with all of them, but that's number 3. Now to do number 4 and then 5. So here we go. Right, I'm actually really happy with this one. It's a lot more tame than the other one was. This red one was just so out of the norm, and I had fun making it. This one was a little more, I mean, it still fits the words that we discussed, but it's a little more safe. I am a little worried that if we went with this one, she wouldn't stand out as much in the marketplace, and thus brand building wouldn't be as effective, thus resulting in less customers. You know, we'll see. I think it turned out pretty good. I'm still tweaking the other ones as I go along. I think I'll tweak this one a little bit more. I'm actually not too terribly disappointed with this one. So that's number 4. So I got one more, and then we're good. So let's start. Okay, I think I'm done with this one now as well. Not a whole lot of brand collateral with this one. This one was a very simple one. This was also, it was getting really busy there at the end, so I put in textures here because there's so much going on with this already that you don't need it. So yeah, I think this one, these last two are like pretty traditional, pretty safe. I'm curious to see the reaction to the first two. And with those all done, I'm going to export them all, get them all prepared, and then send them off to get her reaction. So yeah, that's pretty much it. When it comes to making a mood board, again, super simple. There are a lot better ways to do it than I do it. Just an easy way for people and clients to see what a style or a brand might look like going forward. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.